The Haunting of Sumit. Sumit was an ordinary man with an extraordinary problem. He had just moved into a small, dusty apartment in the heart of the city. The rent was cheap, almost suspiciously so, but Sumit brushed off his concerns. He needed a fresh start, and this place was perfect for it. The first night was uneventful, save for the occasional creak of the floorboards and the rustle of the wind outside. But on the second night, something changed. At precisely 3 a.m., Sumit awoke to the sound of soft whispers. Groggy and disoriented, he sat up in bed, straining to hear. The whispers seemed to come from the corner of the room, where an old, cracked mirror hung. Sumit. His name, spoken in a voice that was barely a breath, chilled him to his core. He switched on the light, but the room was empty. The whispers stopped. He laughed nervously, blaming his overactive imagination, and went back to sleep. The next day, Sumit found a note slipped under his door. The paper was yellowed and brittle, the handwriting spidery and uneven. It read, "Leave before it finds you." Sumit felt a shiver run down his spine. Who had left the note? And what did it mean? That night, he decided to stay awake, determined to catch the prankster. But as the clock struck 3 a.m., his eyelids grew heavy, and he drifted off. He woke to a cold hand on his shoulder. Sumit. The voice was louder now, more insistent. He turned, and his eyes met the mirror. But it was not his reflection staring back at him. The figure in the mirror was a twisted, shadowy version of himself, its eyes hollow and mouth curled into a grotesque grin. It reached out, and to his horror, its hand emerged from the mirror, clawing at him. Sumit scrambled out of bed, knocking over the lamp. The room plunged into darkness. The whispers grew louder, more frantic, as if a dozen voices were speaking at once. Leave. 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 He fled the apartment that night, leaving all his belongings behind. When he returned with a friend the next morning, the mirror was gone, and the apartment looked untouched. The landlord, puzzled by his story, revealed that no one had lived there for decades. Sumit moved far away, but he was never the same. Every night, he would wake at 3 a.m., hearing the faint whispers of his name, no matter where he was. Some say the mirror still exists, waiting for its next victim. And Sumit? He was never heard from again after one fateful night when the whispers finally stopped.